Good morning. My name's Aoun Shamsi. I'm the Business Solutions Manager for Hatfield Phillips. I've been asked to talk about the sky is the limit, cloud without boundaries. To put this into context, I'm going to take you through a few slides on the solution that Hatfield Phillips has implemented on cloud and where we think, for us, it's going next and what we think we want to do with it next. And there's some very specific things in there. But really, this is more about kind of the lessons we've learned, how we went through our project process, and the cloud as it stands for us right now. There'll be time for questions at the end. I'm not going to bore you with lots and lots of slides and lots of content, hopefully. If I start to do that, please do pipe up and let me know. So this is kind of an overview of what I'm going to talk about. So I'll just run through who Hatfield Phillips are, our project and what we did, the collaboration around the project, the cloud initiative itself within Hatfield Phillips, what it meant and how we went about doing that, the challenges we faced and how we overcame them, and then finally the sky's the limit for us, where it's going next, and then some top tips, I hope, from us, from our learning experiences at Hatfield Phillips. So first of all, Hatfield Phillips. Hatfield Phillips is Europe's preeminent loan servicing company. We're a third-party servicing company, founded in 1997, so been around a little while. A small company in terms of staff, only 120 people, so not very big. But in terms of revenue, we generate a sizable amount. I think we're managing at the moment something like 30 billion of assets. So it's a fairly large company from a kind of management point of view, but a very small company from a people point of view. We're rated by Fitch and Standard & Poor's, and we're the #1 third-party rated servicer in the UK. So we're at the top of our industry. Let me go into what CMBS is, just briefly, to give you a background of where we are. So we're in the financial services industry. But we're not actually in the financial services industry. We're a service to the financial services industry. So let's say there's a bank wants to lend some money for a commercial loan. They will ask us typically to help service that loan. So we will assist in the monitoring of the covenants on that loan and the generation of interest statements and all the kind of aspects of managing the loan with the borrowers. And purely on the commercial side of things, so not residential loans, but sort of shopping malls and those kind of commercial buildings. We also deal with things like real estate, and we have an agency service as well. So the sort of areas around there. So you can imagine with those things in mind, the kinds of things that were difficult for us in the project. Now, the first thing to outline here is that in any project, as with any project, you have to understand what your business requirements are and where your issues are. And this is kind of where our issues were. We had essentially information management issues. We had issues around the loan activity information, so what was happening on the loan on a regular basis, what activities were going on, and keeping track of those. The tracking and auditing of the sign-off process, when things were happening, need to be signed off. Where were those happening? Who was signing them off? How were they being tracked? The tracking of client communications, so whether that's a phone or an email, how are we tracking those things? Now, traditionally businesses store things on network drives and store notes and folders and things like that. And we had a problem with the content because there was a lot of content. Communication between departments. So within Hatfield Phillips, if something was happening in one department, other departments needed to know. So how was that managed? And we had some problems in that communication space as well. And we also have some problems around the contacts and information around contacts. So who is the contact on this loan? Who's the contact on at this bank? Who's the borrower on this loan? Who has that information? How is it available to the rest of the business? So what did we do? Well, we did some requirements analysis, and we determined that we needed a CRM. Not only a CRM, but an XRM. When I say an XRM, I mean things like Microsoft Dynamics CRM, which take lots of different sources of data and hook them up to your contacts. And that's kind of what we decided that we needed, looking at the kinds of information that we were struggling with. So that's what we selected. Let me take you through how we did that. So the first thing we realized when we were going through this process is where the relationships between the departments in the organisation and who needs to be involved in this project. And as with every project, you need to work out who is going to do what. So we had a number of people, oops, let's go back one. We had a number of people or departments in the mix who had to be involved in this project. We had the business requirements that had to come from the top management team, but also the workers underneath. We had the business solutions team, my team, that did the solutions analysis. We had an IT department. So traditionally, business solutions will be sitting inside an IT department. In Hatfield Phillips, it's separate. So you've got stakeholders there that need to be involved. And then you've got the project team itself, which steered the development and steered it through to a successful conclusion. And then we had an external party, Maxima, who are Microsoft Gold certified, who we retained to help us develop the system. So these are the core people that were involved, or core roles that were involved in the project. And it's as you expect with any project. And we, skipping ahead here a little bit, but we did go for a cloud solution in the end. And let me take you through the process. So the first thing is a requirements analysis. So, understanding where our business is, as with every project, as you have all done many, many times. A business value assessment. We had Maxima come in and help us look at our business processes, where there was room for improvement, and where the business value really was, and focus our effort on those areas that were going to provide the most value. When I say value, it's a difficult term to quantify. People say value and they mean return on investment, but what does return on investment actually mean? Does it mean a cost saving? And you can define everything in terms of a cost saving, and we did. We did the figures and we said, oh look, we're going to save £10,000 here in this process. But what does that actually mean to the business? Does it actually mean we're saving £10,000? Is our bottom line going to be £10,000 better off? No, but what it does mean is you have more time in your organisation to do things better. And that, coupled with technology that's going to help you, is going to then move you on in terms of your quality of your processes, the quality of the data that you process internally, the quality of the data that you send out. And that's where we saw the value. We did a technology assessment and we looked at Microsoft Dynamics CRM. We also looked at some of the other CRM providers. It was a very close call actually, because we looked at a few different providers, but really the crux of it was we have Microsoft technologies in-house. We're primarily a Microsoft technology user in terms of our back-end stuff, but we're also primarily a Microsoft user in terms of our front-end stuff. So we've got Microsoft Office, as most people do. And so that was a key selling point of the Dynamics solution for us. We got Maxima involved to help us go through a prototyping exercise because we recognised that this was a new piece of technology that was going to need some new business processes and some real understanding at business level. We went through a development phase, testing and training and go live. So all the standard sort of steps you'd go through pretty much in any real project. Is this any different to any other technology project? No, it's not. It really isn't. We went through this process in exactly the same way as any other project. Just because it's cloud doesn't mean it has to be new and difficult and we get carried away with ourselves. So what was the cloud initiative in the end? Well, before I go through that, what really tends to annoy me is, what is the cloud? People say, the cloud, and everyone jumps up and goes, yay, the cloud, fantastic. What do you mean? People say CRM, yay, CRM. What does that mean? It's not a proper term, it's a cliche. It's remote hosting, but of what? You've got the utility component piece, or platform as a service. You've got the software as a service piece. You've got the hosted data piece. You've got the web services content piece. And if you believe Apple, you've got the data storage and synchronization piece. So And that's not a definitive list of everything. There's a whole bunch of other stuff out there as well. Essentially, the cloud is just a catch-all term. Let's not get carried away with it. When I talk about the cloud and a cloud solution, I mean software as a service with hosted data. That's what we implemented. So I want to be very clear about what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this bit over here. But there are all these other bits as well, which I'm sure a lot of you are going to be interested in the other bits. So, I'm skipping ahead a little bit. So, we went for a cloud solution. But why did we do that? Well, first of all, why shouldn't we go for a cloud solution? Well, there are cultural issues. In our organization, we had a number of people who didn't understand what a remotely hosted solution was, even though we'd been running one for about 8 years. And it wasn't called cloud at the time. There are a lot of people who thought there were going to be lots of security issues and compliance issues. They misunderstood, or they didn't fully understand what the compliance issues were, and they thought this new technology, this new cloud initiative was going to make things more complicated from a compliance point of view. And in a lot of ways it does, actually. But they were scared of it rather than actually looking at it and actually working through the detail. Data security issues. Well, actually, there are no more data security issues using a cloud-hosted solution than any other solution that you have in your IT organization. You just have to understand them and mitigate them, just like in any other project. Then you've got your data governance issues. Well, again, just like any other project, you're going to have data governance issues. You just deal with those. You work out how you're going to deal with them. Your latency issues. Well, yes, that can be an issue, but if you partner with a good organization that helps you test things properly, that shouldn't be so much of an issue. So how did Hatfield Phillips combat or get over these issues? Before I go into that, let me just go through why we should go into the cloud. It's quick. We implemented a solution. We started with a prototype in August 2010. We had feedback on that prototype by September 2010, so we had a 1-month prototype and feedback session. And by December 2010, we were live with a solution. We kept things simple. But remote hosting, using a software as a service, was quick. It was quick because we didn't have to understand the technology. It was quick because we didn't have to understand the hosting needs. It was quick because we didn't have to understand how to install it and how to configure it. All of those things we were helped with by our technology partner, Maxima. They took us through that process. They helped us through, and because they were experts, because they'd done it a million times before, sorry, I don't want to say something that's untrue. They may not have done it a million times before, but because they'd done it many times before, they were able to take us through it very, very well. Outsourced. That can be a why cloud, and that could be in the why not cloud. For me, outsourced is great because it lets us focus on our core business. It takes away some of the issues of technology that you might have otherwise, and it takes it to somebody who is an expert in that area and lets you focus on the functionality, it lets you focus on the content, it lets you focus on the business process. And that's where, for us, that was the most powerful thing. OpEx budgets. When we started this project, it wasn't actually in our budget for the year. Oh dear, everyone's sort of shocked by that. I was too. But we looked at the solutions and we said, how can we do this with the budgets we've got, in the time that we've got, to make a difference in the organisation this year? And the only way to do it, the only sensible way of doing it, was to do it as an operational cost. And because we didn't have the capital costs, because we didn't have to train the staff, because we didn't have to get new staff in to maintain servers and maintain software, we were able to do things very quickly, and we were able to do it out of our operational budget, which means that we can grow the solution and pay for more of it as our staff grows. Cheaper? Question mark. Is it cheaper? Yes. Is it cheaper? No. It could be on either side of the coin. Really, it's got to be, for us it was cheaper. It was cheaper from an operational point of view. It got us up and running quickly and gave us the value back to the business quickly.